Hi, and welcome to Entrepreneur Empowered. Whether you're tuned in on BashaniRadio.com, iHeartRadio Worldwide, Apple iTunes, or on our website, I welcome you here. I'm your host, Attorney Sid Padinti, and in today's show, I want to talk to you about how you can create a consulting firm and launch it in 30 days. This is a question that I've been getting asked over and over again. Sid, how do I turn my ideas, my knowledge, my skills, my education, my experiences, my insights into a business, into revenue? And one of the sure shot ways to do that quickly, effectively, profitably is to start a consulting firm. And so that's what I want to focus today's show on. I have a couple of slides here I want to go through with you. If you have any questions, feel free to message me after the show or send me a message directly on our Facebook group, Entrepreneur Empowered, that I've created and engaged for you. I'm going to upload the videos that I'm shooting today on there as well for you to refer back to. So let's get started. Why a consulting firm? You're probably thinking. Well, let me go ahead and say there's many different business models you can choose from, but choosing a consulting firm is probably a wise choice, especially if you're looking to start a new business, invest low amounts of capital upfront, and develop a revenue stream that can be scaled later on. If you're not sure who you're going to serve or what kind of products or services you're going to create right now, or how you can market, right? These are the systematic things that you have to work through in any company. And one of the quick ways to do that, one of the quick ways without spending too much money and too much capital up front, and to develop a business stream and to develop a business channel, is to start a consulting company. So let's dive in here. What are the things that everyone possesses? Most entrepreneurs that I have been working with over the last 12 years or so is many talents, education, skills, and experiences. Many people come to my office and ask me, Sid, I'm not an expert. How do I start a consulting firm, right? What can I consult on? What are the topics that somebody would pay me to advise them on? And I want you to pause there and think about that. Are you an expert in something, right? Do you know a field or particular area of what you do, perhaps at work or your business, better than somebody else, right? Have you been working in the same industry for 5, 10, 20, 30 years? Have you had the same job description or the similar position for the last 20 years? And if you have, then chances are, and to me, that's someone who has expertise in that field, in that subject, right? In that particular area, they have insights that others, their counterparts, probably don't. So think back to your particular industry, your job, the type of role that you've been performing for all these years, perhaps for decades, and think back to the skills that you have gained, you have learned, the insights that you have understood about the market, about the practice of the business, about the business models, about the revenue channels, about the approaches on how to go acquire a new business account, right? About the internal mechanisms within that organization that power the business, whether it's the business model or the marketing model or even the technology model or the way you expand your business. These are the different insights that you have gained by working in an industry for 5, 10, 20, 30, maybe even 40 plus years. So to me, you're an expert. That is expertise in a given area. So don't discount yourself and think that, hey, I don't have expertise. I may not have a master's or a PhD degree in a specific area, or I don't have a ton of clients that I've served, or hundreds of case studies that I can present. Do I have expertise? And my answer to you is absolutely you do. If you have insight, experience, knowledge, about a specific industry, about the job descriptions, about a specific role, that is expertise. So, can you use that expertise to consult? Can you offer that knowledge that you've gained to somebody else who would pay for it? Chances are somebody is there who's looking online on Google, on Facebook, on YouTube, on other channels for people just like you who have this idea, who have this knowledge, who have these experiences, and looking for people like you to help them solve their problems, right? It may be in the exact area that you have expertise in, that you have insights in, or it may be something that is slightly out of that realm, but at the same time, being in that industry, you may have some knowledge or even have an understanding and be able to point them in the right direction. So, these are some of the things I want you to think about when you think about your own knowledge, your skills, your expertises, and whether or not you can monetize it. Absolutely, you can. If you design a system, if you design a revenue channel, a mode of operation that helps you find the right client at the right price, at the right time, right? Also on the right platform that they're looking for, then absolutely you can monetize these skills, the knowledge, the talents, the experiences, the education that you have. There's no reason for these things to be a secret, right? There are people out there who are looking for you right now. So it's about connecting with them. And to do that, a consulting firm is really a great avenue that can be put together fairly quickly, that allows you to share your message, that allows you to share your knowledge, and at the same time, impact somebody's life in a positive way, solve a problem for them, right? This is a great opportunity for you to do that. So, today we're going to talk about how you can go about creating your own consulting firm in a systematic, step by step process that allows you to build a business that is scalable, that is easily manageable, that can be um, expanded nationally or even internationally, right? That's the beauty of a consulting firm. You're not uh, geographically bound to your local area, right? As an attorney, I have many limitations of who I can serve, who I can work with, where I can dispense legal advice. And one of the ways that or advantages that you have if you're opening, especially a consulting firm, or thinking of launching a consulting firm in an industry not as regulated as the legal or medical or maybe some other industry like accounting, is that you have no geographic barriers. There's no bounds. You can have clients in the US, you can have clients in Asia, you could travel across the globe, hold seminars, dispense your knowledge, share your ideas, work with clients, develop revenue streams that are going to make you 100% recession proof. Okay, so if you're looking for this year in 2018 for an avenue that can help you become recession proof, I would say give a, give the thought of opening a consulting firm some serious time and think about it. Think about the skills and knowledge that you have and how you can go about monetizing those different avenues. So that's all comes down to knowledge, the knowledge that you possess. It's about finding the keys that can help you translate that knowledge, transform the knowledge into intellectual property. And that's the big key chunk in transforming or creating a business. How do you take the ideas, the skills, the thoughts that you have in your mind and transform them into products, into services, into courses, into programs, right? These are intellectual properties I'm talking about. When I say intellectual property, I don't want you to think just about trademarks, copyrights, patents, or even trade secrets, right? These are concepts that protect an idea, protect a business, protect things that you have created, assets, right? If you take the word intellect, it means something created from your mind, right? Something off the mind. And if you take the word property, um, it's something that can be given ownership, that can be given commercial value, that can be traded among parties. So when you combine the words intellectual, something of the mind, property, which something you have created that can be sold, traded, um, part of a transaction, right? In simple terms, that can be part of a transaction. So then you think about all the products and services and goods, software. These are all intellectual properties. So copyrights are a way to protect the content that you create, the expression of an idea within the intellectual property realm. Trademarks protect your commercial mark, how you want to advertise yourself, right? So trade and mark, it's the mark you use in the course of operating in trading. And then you have trade secrets, which are all the insights, knowledge that I talked to you about just now. And how do you protect those in a commercial sense? How do you derive value out of it, right? How do you ascertain what some idea or a concept is worth? That's about trade secrets and protecting those in contracts, protecting those in agreements, protecting those internally within organizational members, employees, co-founders, investors, or externally from clients, from competitors, from copycats in the industry, right? So that's the the whole concept of intellectual property. It's designed so that it can give you protectionary measures as you're going around transforming what's in your mind into something of commercial value, a property, a business, right? And that's what a consulting firm is. It's the transformation of your idea into an actual business model that has commercial value, that can be transacted with somebody, that can be part of the transaction, that can have uh, monthly, right, revenue derived to you, that you can create multiple revenue streams out of it. So that's the concept of intellectual property. So when I refer to intellectual property in today's show, I'm talking about more than the concept of just the intellectual property laws. I'm talking about the actual products, the ebooks, the books, the manuals, excuse me, the marketing publications, the business model, the business plan, the marketing plan, your contracts, your customer lists, your unique propositions that you sell, right? The brochures that you create, the website, the content that you have on your website, the ideas that you've captured and expressed on your website or on your show, like today. The concepts that I'm teaching you today, that I'm exploring with you, these are all protected by copyright laws, right? The video or audio, if you're looking at us through the video or if you're hearing us, then the expression of today's idea about how you can start a consulting firm is copyrighted material that I have created, that's in my mind, that I'm transmitting to you through this audio or video, right? So these are copyrighted laws. Um, so with that said, let's dive into the third chunk. So you have your knowledge, which we've identified whether or not you have expertise or skills or anything that you can monetize. We've talked about intellectual property, which refers to products or services or ebooks or publications or software, applications. These are things that you can create, right? The knowledge that you have, it's transformed into a business via these intellectual properties. And the last chunk, the third chunk, refers to publicizing them so that you can monetize it, right? Actually having those intellectual properties, the products and services and the software that you created as part of a transaction with value. And that's more about the monetization, the marketing piece, the joint ventures that you enter into, the different avenues that you tap into, the different markets that you enter into. So that's what that piece covers. And the flexibility that a consulting firm offers you is the opportunity to engage in all these different intellectual properties I just mentioned to you. So, for example, your consulting firm can have a digitized product, right? The quickest way, when I talk about products in a consulting firm, um, in reference to a consulting firm, I'm talking about digitized products that can be uploaded and sold directly from your website or an e-commerce site, or when you're transacting with a client, right? These are things that can be captured and transmitted to them electronically, immediately, and automatically in many cases. So it's number one, something that can operate by itself, right, as a product. Number two, it's something that can be automated and scaled easily. It doesn't involve, or if you set it up the right way, it might not involve your time one on one with delivering that service every time. So, in a consulting firm model, you have the opportunity to create digitized courses and programs and products. You have the opportunity to have services, right? Right? You can have programs, you can have monthly subscription based programs, you can have yearly contracts, you can have masterminds, you can host workshops, training videos similar to the one that you're sitting in today, which can be monetized effectively, right? The transformation of my ideas into this audio or video presentation today is something that's going to last forever. Once I upload it onto YouTube, once I upload it onto Bashani Radio, iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes, and my website, it's going to last there. It's something I'm going to monetize for years to come. If there's a few changes that I need to make, it's easy for me to do that because I've already taken the first step of transforming my knowledge into something digital, right? And so that's the creation of intellectual property. And how you monetize it is a different ballgame. But let's dive into the core chunk of it now, um, as we start here. So when you have an idea, the first thing that you want to do, and as you're thinking about how you can go about this process of transformation, right? I want you to pull up a sheet of paper if you haven't already and go ahead and draw out the things I'm talking about, right? Write down, take some notes about the concepts we're referring to because after the show, you're going to be thinking about this. Tonight, when you go to bed, you're going to be thinking about some of these ideas because guess what? It's quite easy to put together a consulting firm, and what we're going to do today is perhaps get you started, right? This is entrepreneur empowered. It's the empowerment is about giving you direct access to giving you knowledge, giving you the tools and the guidance that you need to accomplish what you want. And in this case, it's about starting a consulting firm. So the rest of the show today, for the next 40 odd minutes that we're together, we're going to dive deep into how you can walk through this process and identify exactly who you are going to serve, how you can serve them, where you can interact with them, and how much you can perhaps charge for your products or services, right? And so, if that's okay with you, I'm going to dive right in. If you have any questions, like I said, feel free to give me a call directly. My my phone number, um, I'll post it at the end of the video. It's 213-924-3466. Send me a text message with your question if you have it. Go online to my website. You can see it right here, California Law Services. You'll see some of the concepts we're talking about. Go to the Facebook page, California Law Services. I just released a post on this exact process that many people have been interacting with. I've had about 20 people in the last week that have inquired about starting this consulting firm in the next 30 days. So this is a system that we've been working with for almost 12 years now, launching different businesses, and it works. And So the first step, as you can see here behind you, or rather behind me, is the assessing your idea, right? If you have the idea, you have the skill, you're trying to figure out what kind of consulting firm you'd like to open, right? That you like to own and operate. Then I want you to think about and dig deep down into your core skill. And that's the area I want you to focus on, the area of expertise, the one skill that you have that people would pay for, that your peers around you do not have, right? So focus on your advantages, the core skill that sets you apart. This is your unique selling proposition, right? For me, it's the combination of my legal insights and intellectual property concepts combined with my entrepreneurial experience that allows me to give you direct access and empower you with videos and audios that I'm doing today. So focus on the skill and how you can channel that skill into serving your ideal client, right? The part of assessment that I want you to spend a lot of time on this week if possible. When I say a lot of time, 3, 4, 5 hours, that's plenty of time. It's the assessing it, brainstorming it, doing a little bit of research, whether or not your idea, number one, can be commercialized. Number two, there is a demand in the marketplace for it. And number three, that you're comfortable. At the end of the day, it comes down to that you have to be comfortable operating this business model, right? So if your interest is in healthcare and you're looking for financial firms, or if you're an attorney and you're trying to leverage an e-commerce skill that you're new at, or for example, if you have life experience, right, and you're trying to go into a market that you have no knowledge about, then it's something that you probably want to stay away from because there's a learning curve, there's probably investment behind research that has to be put into it, there's advisors that you need in place to advise you to make and guide you in the right direction to make the right choices. So focus, if the idea is to start a consulting firm in 30 days, I want you to focus on the one skill that you can close your eyes and perhaps do a transaction with, right? For me, legal contracts, anything with starting a business, anything to do with intellectual property, the creation of intellectual property, as what we're talking about today, or the monetization of somebody's business. This is what I've been doing. This is what I'm comfortable doing, right? I'm not going to start a coaching business that's about life coaching or about marketing coaching, right? Things that I'm not comfortable doing. I may be good at it, I may have the experience at it, but I know deep down, um, the most, to me, the area of focus or the comfort zone is around combining technology, law, intellectual property. And so, in your business, in your consulting firm, I want you to focus on those core skills. And when you do the research, when you're online trying to figure out if your idea is valid, right? If there's a need for the products and services that you're creating, I want you to diversify your search. Don't just focus on Google and as a starter, right? Go to different resources. Go to official publications, right? From different universities. They have experts, publishers, PhDs who understand this topic in your area, who publish reports about it, who have market trends, right? Read about the current trends in different business magazines, right? In your industry related to your specific skill. That's the process of research, right? Figure out on different investment websites like Crunchbase or Angel.io or a variety of other ones what investors are investing in. That's a good way to pick up trends as well, right? So do a little bit of research, go on Facebook, take a look at some of your competitors, direct competitors, figure out their audience, how large is it, what kind of engagement it's happening, what kind of questions are their clients posing to them. These are things that you can use in the process of creating your consulting firm, in the process of creating intellectual property that's going to have massive commercial value, right? Something that's in demand. So that's the process of research. Spend some time today, tomorrow, the rest of the week doing this because this little bit of research that you invest And I want you to cap it off at 5 hours because it's like a rabbit hole. You start digging into it, you can keep going into it. But what we want to focus on is launching the firm, right? Putting together and launching it so that you can start focusing on monetization rather than get caught up in perfecting everything. That's one of the fundamental problems that we all entrepreneurs have is we're perfectionists. However, in a business setting, especially if you're trying to launch a new business, monetize your skills quickly, monetize your intellectual property quickly, then you need to be focused on action, right? I want you to turn the switch or turn the knob and put yourself into action mode as soon as you hit the 5 hour research point. Whatever you figured out till then, that's your research, right? I'm talking about low investments as you're starting a consulting firm. Um, a couple $100, maybe a few $1,000s. So the time that you're spending in research, I don't want you to spend more than what you would invest in starting this firm right away, right? These things you can figure out as you go along. What's in demand, what your clients actually want, what are the things that you can help them with, right? Some of these things are going to be figured out as you start your firm, as you start to have a few clients, as you have feedback from your clients. You'll know how to pivot your business in a direction that is going to be in demand. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you as I'm walking you through this process. I understand some of the concepts I'm talking about. I'm walking fairly quickly. So once again, please, at the end of the show, feel free to message me if you have any specific questions, or go to the group Entrepreneur Empowered and post your question. There's quite a few people in there now who can answer something for you, or I'll be more than happy to dive in there and personally answer the question for you as well. I'll also be releasing this particular video and the presentation that we're talking about today once the live comes out. Let's talk about the next step in the process, right? This is the core chunk of the evolution process of taking the idea, transforming it into intellectual property, and then actually creating the business out of it, right? So you're thinking about what products or services um, that you want to create, what software that you might want to create, and how do you want to price them? Who is it that you're going to sell to? So let's focus on that today and rest off the workshop so that by the end of the workshop, I can give you a fairly good idea of how to put at least a framework together. So this is something I call the 6-point business assessment checklist, right? Every business, no matter what industry you're operating in, no matter who you serve, right? Or which country you're operating in, there's 6 core critical elements or components that power every single business. These are your core business model itself, your legal model, your marketing or monetization model. We have your technology operations model. We have the actual branding, right? Helping you set yourself apart in the marketplace. And again, this focuses really on the intellectual property legalities and how you can monetize and use those. And lastly, once you've figured out all these things, how to expand your business to new heights, right? So when you look at your business model, actually, let me back up and say that again for people who are taking notes here. 6-point business assessment, or business, you can call them the 6 pillars of your business. There's the business model, the legal model, your marketing model, the operations or technology model, your branding model, and lastly, the expansion model. In the business model, we have what is called the 4 M's. You have your market, you have your message, you have the mechanisms, and lastly, you have the money math. Okay? So this forms your business model, how you'll put your business together. Let's walk through those briefly. And I'm not going to get into too much detail here so that I can cover these main topics. And in the weeks to come, I'll explore these concepts in more detail and in further depth and take each of these concepts and give you all the information that you need in one full show. So 60 minutes of in-depth analysis of this entire concept, okay? So for today, let's just build a framework that you can work off for the rest of the week. And as you're doing research tonight on what kind of consulting firm you want to create, you can use this framework that you're going to develop in the next 30 minutes or so to help you stay focused and in the zone in terms of where you want to focus your energy on, what kind of products you're going to create, and how you're going to find the clients that you're looking for. Okay? So, in terms of your market, I want you to think about three things. Number one is the type of client. So, think about the age range that your ideal clients are in. So, go ahead and write that down, right? And there's no particular range that you have to limit yourself to, unless your products or services are for B2B style business, or B2C, business to consumer style products. So think about who your ideal clients are, what age range they may belong to. It might be broad, for example, 25 and up, or it might be much more focused, 30 to 40, women, right? Or males between 40 and 50, married, divorced, or something else, right? Be as specific as possible. The more specific you are, the easier it's for you to pinpoint this person later on. Think about your message. What is the message to them, right? My message to you is how you can start a consulting firm in 30 days with this information. And, in that sense, my market is you, the entrepreneur, the entrepreneurial minded person, right? Who's looking for empowerment, who's looking to gain control, who's looking for more revenue, who's looking for ways to monetize their skills, their experiences, their education. That's my ideal client. Think about your core message, right? And I want you to, when you're crafting this message, I want you to think um, how, about 10 words that you can put your entire message into. So, how do you start a consulting firm in 30 days? Um, in my other practices, for example, I have a bankruptcy firm. It's how to avoid bankruptcy, right? Because a big part of what I do is restructuring somebody's current financial situation so they can avoid a bankruptcy, whether it's a business or a consumer, and walk away with all their assets intact, right? And so, although I have a bankruptcy consulting firm, my message is how do you avoid a bankruptcy and still retain possession of assets, or something like that, right? So, you want to have timing in there, so give a specific timing. So 30 days is an action driven statement I'm making to you, right? I'm not going to say 1 year. Sure, by the time you build a profitable business, it might be 1 year or 2 months or 3 months, who knows? But that's a different ballgame altogether. I'm not saying build a profitable consulting firm. You might be profitable by the time in 1 month, or by next week when you hear the next show. But the message is very clear: how to start a consulting firm and launch it in 30 days. So write down your message in about 10 words, because the more precise you are, the easier it is for you to convey your message. And secondly, as your consumer, as your ideal client is listening to you or is consuming your message, remember, they're going to see this on their phone or on their computer, right? Most likely. They may end up getting a flyer, they may see a billboard, or hear you on a radio station like you probably are right now. But at the same time, it's possible for you to drive an offline customer into online. So that's the next piece of the puzzle when it comes into the mechanism, right? What mechanisms are you going to deploy to reach your ideal client with your core message? Is it online? Is it offline? Is it a combination of them, right? Is it a billboard? Is it a radio show? Is it direct messages that you send to somebody? Is it direct mail? Is it an invitation? Is it networking events where you attend and that's where you meet them, right? These are all mechanisms that you're going to deploy. So that's the next core piece. I want you to commit to one core mechanism that you can perfect this year. And so, from a broader sense, there's three mechanisms on how you can um, in a business model. There's and when I talk about mechanisms, I want you to think about marketing for a sense here to keep it simple. There's paid marketing, there's free marketing, and there's what's called earned marketing. Earned refers to referrals, right? Word of mouth referrals, which are very powerful. Many of you existing business owners may be thinking, hey, my business only works on referrals. That's great. And so that might be the avenue you want to focus on, right? Referrals, joint partnerships, strategic alliances. Or if you want results quickly, the, perhaps the easiest way to go about it is a paid mechanism, right? Incorporate ads, online and offline, and drive referrals and earn media through there. So I would certainly say deploy all three of those in combination, but have one core focus. So if you're going to say it's going to be paid media, I'm going to pay for advertising, I'm going to get my message across to my ideal clients, right? Then paid media is the quickest way. There's mechanisms that you can deploy, technologies that you can integrate on the back end. Once your ideal client is in your world, in your realm, on your website, on your social media page, right? Engaging with you, sending you messages, whatever it is. Once they're engaging with you, there's other ways, other technologies, other tactics that you can deploy in driving earned media, free referrals, right? But for now, I want you to write down that paid, earned, and free, right? Free refers generally to clients that you already have. If you have a large existing book of business with thousands of clients, maybe all you need is a few from there, right? To start your consulting firm and try it out with existing clients. See if they're willing to be your first few clients in the business that you launch, right? Let's talk about the money math. When I refer to money math, at least in the consulting firm sense, here I'm talking about two things. I'm talking about the pricing model for your goods and services. I'm also talking about the annual revenue that you'd like to earn this year in your consulting firm. So whether this is a part-time gig that you're starting off or it's a full-time gig, you're quitting a job and going after this full blast, as they say, then you need to figure out and um, dive right into and accurately pinpoint how much revenue you need to drive into the door every month to break even and to stay profitable. Okay? So the first segment of this is your pricing model. How much are you going to price your goods and services at? Is it going to be a one-time setup? Is it a monthly fee? Is it a yearly commitment that they have to make with you? Is it a monthly subscription that they subscribe to and you deliver online? Right? So these are all the different forces and models that you can deploy. These are the weapons that are different companies have in terms of pricing models and price discrimination models. And so think about in your consulting firm which of those you'd like to incorporate. A one-time setup and monthly commission model, a monthly subscription model, a yearly fee, or addition of other programs and services in addition to a lower monthly fee, right? Or a combination of all these so that you can be diverse. Your revenue streams are diverse and you can be truly diverse in terms of being recession proof. So I would say start with one, and as you develop your business, you can incorporate the other ones into it. Now, let's take some examples. Let's say your product can be sold for $1,000, okay? It might be a one-time payment, it might be a monthly payment, or it might be a yearly payment. You break it down. 80 bucks a month, 1 year. That's $1,000, right? So I want you to do the money math as you're trying to figure these things out. You can have things on the low end, you can have things on the high end, or a combination of them. The world that we operate our businesses in now is highly digitized. I'm sure you know that, right? This message is being digitized to you. So what you want to think about is the way how you're going to set up your budget when you're advertising and the price points that you have, and try to do the math in terms of breaking down how you can attain your goal by working backwards, really, right? So that you can plan forward. So, for example, if you have $1,000 product and your goal is to make $100,000 this year, you know you have to send you need 100 transactions. Let's say your conversion rate is 50%. Then you know you need roughly $200,000 worth of transactions, potential transactions, or 200 people that you need to pitch to in order to close 100 deals at $100,000, right? $1,000 a piece, 100 of them. If you know that your, let's say, conversion rate from online, so from the time somebody sees this video, hears your tape, reads your message, to contacting you, let's say it's a 10%, right? So I'm gonna, for simplicity's sakes, skip some of the steps. But essentially, in a given marketing project, for example, first thing is to craft the ad and launch it. Okay, so your ideal client needs to see it, which is called the impression. They need to click your ad, which is the click-through rate. They need to consume information that's on your landing page or your website or your Facebook page or whatever other message you have. They need to opt in to register, to get more information, to book a consultation meeting with you, or purchase the product directly. If it's a low product that is 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 bucks, people may purchase that directly. But generally, you have an impression, you have the click-through rate, you have them on your website viewing your information, you have them registering, you have the interview process if they qualify, and then you have a potential close. So we're looking at many different segments before you get your sale, your transaction, right? So take those into account. So, for example, if we said that 200 people at 50% conversion rate, right? 200 people are what you have to pitch to every year. You know that's what, roughly 18 people a month, right? 16 to 17 people a month that you need to pitch to in order to close $100,000. So do the math in your business. Try to figure out how many need to see your ad, to click it, to engage with you, to interview you, to finally close a transaction. So that's what money math comes down to. And planning your budget, your monthly advertising budget based on that, right? So if I know, for example, if I spend $5,000 a month in ads and I can close 20 deals at $1,000, hey, that's a good deal, right? I'm still making a positive 400% positive ROI on that. So hopefully that talks about business model. And once again, if something's confusing, just send me a message later on. I'll be more than happy to clarify for you. In terms of the legal model, there's 6 different areas that I've listed here for you. Okay, so write these down. We have the regulatory, we have ethical, right? These are the different forces impacting the legal model. We have the legal structure. We have asset protection, right? So contracts and clauses and stuff. We have the actual contracts and agreements and terms that are in the contracts that you need to know. And lastly, you need to be able to predict and mitigate risks ahead of time in all the different forces and all the contracts that you're engaged in, internally and externally, right? So in terms of regulatory, I want you to think of, is there any regulatory body that might regulate you and your consulting firm? In my law firm, yes, I have the State Bar of California that regulates what I do as an attorney, right? So there's a regulatory body. If you're in the medical professional, if you're a medical professional, you may have a medical body that's regulating you, right? Uh, Generally in the U.S., almost all specific professions have some sort of a certification exam that's needed. So think about the certification exam. If there's somebody you have to pay a license to retain your business or to start a business, okay? In terms of ethical, I want you to think about what you're pitching, right? is it ethical? You don't want to start a consulting firm that's going to be engaged in illegal activity. So think about the legal structure. You may want to start off as a sole proprietor or a partner, or dive into LLC right away, right? You may even want to start a consulting firm with an incorporation, right? So these are questions that I'm not going to dive into today, but you need to do some research about, right? Which structure is a good one for you, the right one for you, and that will mitigate your risks, that will allow you to expand your business in a consistent, organic, and a way that's going to be for the rest of your life. You don't want to be shut down. So make sure you invest some time to find out which is the right business structure for you. There's asset protection. Here we're talking about, again, intellectual properties, the things that you're creating, the assets that you're developing in the course of creating your consulting firm, your business name, the concepts, the business plans, right? These are all assets. The computer programs, the actual publications that you have, the social media assets, right? The creatives, the marketing templates. These are all assets. These are all intellectual properties in your business that you need to protect. And you need to protect them in contracts, you need to protect them in agreements, you need to protect them from all sides, from co-founders, from partners, from employees within the organization, from contractors, from interns, right? From externally, from outside the organization, from the government, right? Make sure you're ethical. From partners, from joint venture partners, right? From clients, from competitors, from copycats. The assets that you're creating, you want to make sure are protected. Lastly, I want you to think about the different risks and conflicts that exist in your business, that may exist in your consulting firm, right? Where do you draw the line? What do you want your scope to be? So define your scope. What products or services are you willing to dispense as part of your consulting firm, right? And be very specific on that, because all the contracts that you have are based on that. The different risk and conflict mitigation strategies that you formulate will be based on your scope. The different clients and customers and competitors that are going to impact your bottom line are also going to be on the scope of your work, right? So that's something I want you to focus on and pay a little bit of attention to. In terms of your marketing model, there's the social media strategy. You have a digital strategy. So here I'm referring to Google, YouTube, some of the other digitized online directories. We have print and flyer, right? Actual traditional marketing campaigns that you can deploy at the same time. We have television, radio, podcast, or other avenues as well. YouTube, as you know, is a big channel. So if you like creating videos, start a YouTube channel, right? Start directing traffic in there. We have, lastly, outbound and inbound, right? There's a slight difference. Outbound advertising is what, for example, like a billboard or bus stop sign. It's out there sending a message to the world at large. Inbound, for example, is like Google, where your customer is typing up a specific term and looking for you. They're asking you something, coming into you versus you reaching out. In your consulting firm, you probably want to deploy a combination of the inbound and outbound, and the other two are offline and online, right? So you want to integrate strategies that can combine outbound with inbound, offline with online. And so, in terms of marketing, those are the things I want you to think about and do some research about today or rest of the week, right? On social media, go to your competitors' pages, see who their clients are, see how they're messaging themselves, right? See what kind of website they've created, right? Identify some of the things that you're going to be competing with, some of the forces in the marketplace that you have to push aside to go reach your ideal client, right? These are going to be very important in the second phase of your consulting firm, which is the monetization of it. The first stage, what we're talking about today, is starting and launching a consulting firm in 30 days. The second phase is about the monetization. Of course, that's the more important part, but the first step is to take action and get something launched so that you can focus your energy on monetization rather than getting stuck in launch mode. So here again, the marketing refers to the client attraction, okay? Um, let's dive into the fourth component, technology, and identify the different areas in your business where you need to install technology, where you need to identify how you can leverage and monetize yourself using technology. Excuse me. So we have technology to run your business, which is the operations, the administrative, the financial side of it, making sure those are in compliance. We have the client management systems to help you manage client data more effectively and in a more organized and structured way. We have marketing automation that you can deploy so that it's it's happening behind the scenes 24/7, right? Without you actively having to do stuff every day, right? So marketing automation is going to be a big part of you trying to scale your business quickly, right? And identifying the different technologies that enable you to do this. We have the optimization or the analytics, which help you track and measure and set benchmarks that you can compare month after month so that you're consistently hitting your targets, right? Accomplishing your objectives. And so, analytics, for example, Google Analytics or other tools in the marketplace that are available. We're also talking about artificial intelligence and blockchain here, right? The new technologies in the marketplace that are disrupting the marketplace that you can install in your consulting firm from the get go. I'm all the things I'm talking about here are billion-dollar technologies, and that's the beauty of the digitized age that we're operating our businesses in. You have in your fingertips access to multi-billion dollar technologies for a few bucks a day, right? You can put ads on Facebook for $1 a day. A multi-billion dollar company, one of the largest, most powerful companies in the world, $1 a day, you can use them. That's all the commitment. No lifetime commitments, no contracts, right? You go in, you launch it from your phone in 5 minutes. How about that? So it's about understanding the technologies out there and using them in your business so that you can be streamlined, you can be structured, and you have a business that's scalable quickly. You may even have some industry specific um, marketing or other technologies that you may want to deploy. So go ahead, do some research, find out what's being used in your industry. For example, in the legal industry, there's many technologies that are for e-discovery or client management. I know for accountants as well, many accountants are still trying to switch into the cloud-based accounting, right? Which is just catching on now. And so there's technologies that you want to explore, for example, in that industry. Or if you're a realtor and you're looking to open a real estate consulting firm, I know there's a handful of technologies that allow you to leverage your expertise in a specific format. They've done some of the thinking for you. So it's about doing the research, identifying those technologies, and then leveraging them in your business. So technology plays, as you can imagine, a big part in today's competitive marketplace, mainly for two reasons. You're going to be able to drive profitability um, up, through the roof quickly, and when you have a business that can be operated in just a few clicks, that's efficiency, right? That's profitability. It's the ability to allocate resources effectively. Also, we're talking about competitive edge. If you're up against, another person in your industry, right? So I know recently, for example, there's been many entrepreneurial-minded people in my office or calling me who are in their 50s, in their 40s and 50s, who they consider themselves not to be tech savvy, but they know how to use Facebook, they know how to use Google, right? And a simple thing like that, being able to use those two marketing tools or technologies in your business allows you or gives you the competitive edge over somebody just like you who has no clue how to do that, right? Who's still sticking with um, door knocking, for example. I know there's many realtors who still do door knocking. So if you're able to understand as a realtor, right, who's able how to use these technologies, right off the bat, you have a massive competitive advantage starting out. And so these are some of the things that you want to deploy in your business or consider deploying so that right off the gate, you're setting yourself up to be a profitable venture. All right, let's talk about branding, the fifth critical component. So far we've covered your business model, we've done the legal model, we've done the marketing model, we've done the technology model, okay? And now we're talking about branding. In terms of branding, the first thing I want you to think about is being congruent, right? The message has to be congruent among all the different platforms, the channels that you're going to deploy in your business. That's what intellectual property is about. Intellectual property is created, or at least the legalities are created to protect a brand, right? So to protect the name as a trademark, protect concepts as trade secrets, protect content and actual expressions of ideas as copyrights, and if you have an invention or discovery or a unique packaging, for example, or even a plant that you've discovered, that you've created, then a patent to protect those ideas. And so that's what really branding is about, being consistent throughout your messaging and being able to protect everything that you're created, that you're creating in a way so that you can control competitors in that space and how they market themselves so that they're not encroaching upon your message or your, let's call it your domain that you're trying to build, right? The castle that you're trying to build and establish. As competitors get closer, your trademark and copyright and intellectual property laws will be enforced. So these are nothing but many weapons in your arsenal that you can deploy against competitors repeatedly to control the way they behave in the marketplace. That's what branding is about. That's what intellectual property is about. Okay? So in this sense, when I talk about intellectual property, I'm talking about the actual legalities, the protectionary measures, the enforcement measures of intellectual property laws to protect the bigger IP, which is the products and services that you're creating. Lastly, we have the expansion model. The expansion model, there's multiple avenues that are available to you as a consulting firm. Um, Number one is partnerships, right? You can enter into joint partnerships, you can do joint ventures, you can digitize your message and sell your products or services in a digitized fashion similar to how I am today and how you're consuming the information that I'm presenting to you. We have programs and courses that you can create, again, similar to what I'm showing you today. At the end of this website presentation, I'm going to give you a website that I've created specifically for this purpose, for people who are looking to start a consulting firm in 30 days. I've had so many inquiries that I've decided, instead of just talking to you about this process, I'm going to actually put a website together, show you how to do this in 30 days, and be completely transparent. I'm going to share everything that I'm deploying in my business, which are all these things that you see here, to you so you can follow this as a model and build your own and launch your own consulting firm. Okay? But again, it comes down to digitization of your information into products or courses or programs, subscriptions, even technology, right? Even software. At the end of the day, that's what software is. It's the expression of somebody's idea about a solution that they have thought about in the form of a technology. And one step further is artificial intelligence, which is at least for the present, it's actually, I like to use the word machine learning because you're training your machine to perform or duplicate some of the things, some of the thought process, some of the logical sequences that you train it to perform and execute. Okay. The other expansionary tool that you have is the ability to license your intellectual property. Some people have reached out and asked me if they can be my quote unquote resellers or agents. They have databases of clients who are looking to start a consulting firm. And so when they read my message and they heard me, they reached out and asked me if they can have a license to publish these videos, to use my website, to use some of the guides that I've created, right? So that's a way of licensing your intellectual property. Lastly, if you're looking to raise money from investors, then that's something that you want to consider as well. A consulting firm definitely allows you to do that, especially if you have intellectual property that has a lot of value, that has commercial validity in terms of you showing that it's used in the marketplace and there's a demand for it. And really, that's the process of creating a multi-million dollar brand. It's about expanding using these different sources. I haven't even covered the other types of monetization, like hosting workshops, hosting events, hosting masterminds, leading a community of like minded people who believe in your cause, right? That's what Entrepreneur Empowered is about. Leading a group of entrepreneurs who are looking to get empowered by launching businesses or doing things that they have never considered. They've wanted to do, doubted themselves, but now have an avenue, have the tools, have the resources, and direct access to individuals who can help them accomplish those dreams, right? That's what Entrepreneur Empowered is about. And so, again, that's an avenue you can relate to and use in your business by leading a team of people who believe in your cause, right? Assemble the individuals using these techniques that I've just described to you, the 6-point business assessment: business, legal, marketing, technology, branding, and expansion. All these forces work independently and interdependently together. They power your business together at the same time, right? If your business has 6 legs or 6 pillars, then these are it right here. So no matter what business you're thinking about um, going into, or if you already have a business and you're looking at maybe one of these components, these may be a missing component in your business right now, right? Everything I've described to you, yes, in one sense, it's to open a consulting firm, but in another sense, it's to stabilize your existing business, to build a stronger foundation, to have an expansion model that's actually expandable, right? That's scalable. So, with that said, that kind of brings us towards the end of today's workshop, today's show. Um, this has been quite an interesting experience talking about these things. I hope these conversations have triggered a few things in your mind about the problems that you can solve, about the individuals that you can help, about the different revenue streams that you can create in your life by starting a consulting firm. And the other thing that you'll probably realize if you haven't already are I'm talking about things that you already know, concepts that you have probably thought about, right? Or even been exposed to, or may even have in your business, many of these things. So that's what a consulting firm is about. It's about getting together your ideas, transforming them into intellectual property, and monetizing them. Okay? So if you have questions, I want you to go take a look at the website that I've put together for this specific purpose. It's called Think Big, Grow Bigger. Okay? And I apologize about the name if it sounds bad to you. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's about thinking big. You can accomplish this. and taking action so you can grow your business to where you want it to be. Okay, so thinkbiggrowbigger.net. We put this together fairly quickly. We've launched it just a week ago. We've had a handful of people, I told you almost 20 people, who are looking actively to start these consulting firms. Um, we have different resources that we're going to put in there. This video, this brief training video from today, I'm going to have there. In addition, we're going to have more details about each and every one of these segments that are in place in there for you as training videos that you can utilize to launch your business. Okay, so that's the end of today's show. I hope this has been informative, and more than informative, transformative. It's about transformation. You can obviously look at this information online yourself, but it's about taking action. It's about getting empowered and getting transformative results in your life, in your firm, right? So if you have any questions, once again, feel free to go to my website, California Law Services, or the new website I put together for you for this specific purpose, to start a consulting firm in 30 days, thinkbiggrowbigger.net. I welcome you to join the online Facebook group Entrepreneur Empowered, so you can post your question, and one of us, this is a tribe that we're in it together. We're going to be jumping on there and helping you answer the question in real time. So thanks again for tuning in to Entrepreneur Empowered. I'm your host, Attorney Sid Pedinti, aka the Entrepreneur's Attorney. I'm here in my law firm. I thank you once again for tuning in. I will catch you next week. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. That's it for today. Bye-bye.